Yo, what's up, guys? Old School Dan here, and welcome back to How to Build the Classic Physique. We're coming to the end of the series. I think we got maybe like one or two videos left. But, anyways, we're on part 7, Classic Chest. Bear with me because I'm a little sick. I might be coming down with like a fever or like a cold or something like that. My throat kind of hurts. My nose is a little stuffy, but I got my tea right here, so I'm not gonna let that stop me. I'm gonna power through it. And in this video, we're gonna talk about some anatomy, some quick anatomy like we always do, and then we talk about some models to look at, some really good models to look at, and then we're gonna talk about some exercises to to really bring out that golden era. What do you want to call it? Classic physique chest. Yeah. So let's get started. All right, so now let's talk about the anatomy of the chest. Now, the only two parts that Vince told me to really focus on was the pectoralis major and the serratus anterior. Now, the pectoralis minor, he doesn't really talk about that too much, but he does include some exercises for that. But mainly, what I want you to focus on is the serratus anterior and the pectoralis major. Now, the serratus, not everybody knows how to develop that, but it is the if you don't know what that is, it is you could either Google it, but it's right here actually. It's the little three fingertips that you will see above your kind of close by your like your nipple and like by your rib cage. They're like three little fingers. That's your serratus right there. Frank Zane had a really good serratus, and your pectoralis major is basically just your chest, and the pectoralis minor is your chest too. All right, so enough of that boring stuff. Let's move on to some really good models to talk about because I have some really good models that I want to talk about, and then it's going to be some insanely valuable information for you guys, and it's going to help you guys so much. So let's move on to the models. So a lot of people ask me like, how do you build a 3D chest? Well, it's really simple. And let's take a look at some models right here. The middle one you probably don't know of, but you probably should know him. But anyways, number one model on the left is obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger. The guy had a humongous chest. I think it was like 52 inches or something like that. But he's a really good model to look at because you can see how that it has that kind of a flare, like a curve under his chest. You get that from doing dips, a lot of dips. And I was at the gym one time and I was just like, this is when I started reading some of Vince's stuff, and I was like really getting into it. I was doing a lot of flies, I was doing a lot of dips, and some guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, how do you get that curve in your chest?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That little like it's like a curve in your chest, like it kind of like pops out from your tank top, like it just kind of curves out." And I was like, "Oh, you just do a lot of dips and a lot of flies." And at that time, I was doing a lot of dips. I was doing like dips every day for like 3 months straight, and I was doing a lot of flies, like incline flies, a lot of flat flies and stuff like that. All right, cool, yeah. And also, Arnold has a very high upper chest. He has a very big upper chest because you could almost lay a, not lay, but like have a glass of water sitting on his chest, and he could probably hold it there because his upper chest is that big. And a lot of the guys back then, they really focus on the upper chest. Now let's move on to the next model. That is Lou Degny. That Lou Degny is one of Larry Scott's mentors. You probably didn't even know this, but Lou Degny was one of the best built mans around. I think it was the 1930s, maybe 40s. I don't really remember, but Lou Degny is all natural. You can obviously tell. I mean, look at that rib cage. Look at that. Look at those lats. He's the perfect shining example of the classic physique, the wide lats, the rib cage, the chest, the peak biceps, the big calves, and the decent legs. Cool, yeah. So he has a pretty good rib cage. You want to take a look at that. A lot of the old school guys, they had a really good rib cage. You can see the rib cage on Arnold's too. You know, guys like Danny Padilla, Mike Menser, Frank Zane, they also had and Reg Park, they also had really, really good rib cages. And that plays a big part in the classic physique, having a big rib cage. So when you do a side chest like Arnold, you're able to pull your stomach in a little bit more. And since your rib cage is already big, it's going to give you the illusion that your chest is bigger than it is. Or it's actually going to make your whole body look bigger than it is. All right, so moving on to the next model, we have Steve Reeves. You take a look at his chest. His chest is very square. Now, I read up a story about how a lot of guys kept asking Steve Reeves, like, "Hey, how did you get your chest to look like that? It looks like square." And he's like, "Oh, I just do a lot of incline." It's like I only do incline. It's like I only do incline bench and incline dumbbell press, and that's pretty much it. And he did some bench pressing, not a lot. Arnold did a lot of bench pressing. Arnold did a lot of bench pressing at the beginning of his career, but towards the end, not towards the end, but towards like he was like starting to come up a little bit more. He saw that his upper chest was lagging, and then he started to work on the upper chest more and more and more. And a lot of the guys back then, they worked on the upper chest a lot because a lot of them wanted that square chest. That's what gives you that kind of like an armor plate look. And that's what I'm going for too because I literally only do incline. And some people tell me I have a pretty good upper chest. And like I don't see it, but some of the people I've been like, this is like a couple months ago. This was months ago too. I was on the movie set of Sandy Wexler, and some guys were like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Dude, I gotta go to the gym, work out my upper chest because it's lagging." They're like, "Dude, you don't need to work in your upper chest," and I couldn't tell if they were joking with me, but maybe they were or they were not. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I still need to work on my upper chest, but maybe it's not. No, but I have a pretty square chest too. But anyways, yeah, there's some really good models to look at. Arnold, obviously, how he has that outside flare where his like nipple is, how it has that curve. You get that from doing a lot of dips. Luke Degny, really built man. It has the good rib cage and some good mass in their chest. And then we have Steve Reeves, who has the square chest. And another thing, you can tell Steve Reeves' physique that his chest doesn't have a lot of mass. That is because, all right, so I want you to pay attention to this. Look up any guy maybe on Instagram and look at his pecs. Do they match with his physique? Are they too big? I was gonna post up a picture of this guy, of his physique, and his chest is way too big. Like there's too much mass in that chest that it overpowers, and it makes his arms look small and shit like that. I mean I could build a really big fucking chest. Like I could bench press all day, do flat dumbbell presses, but I don't want a big watermelon chest. I want an aesthetic square chest that is pleasing to the eye, and it refers to the classic illusion. Because that's what it's about, the classic illusion. See, if you do too much bench pressing, you're gonna be getting a watermelon chest. Like your chest is gonna have too much mass. It's gonna look too big, and it's like it's gonna overpower your physique. And Arnold, I mean, Arnold was obviously able to balance it all out. He had the biggest back and the biggest chest. Lou Degny has some decent mass on his chest, but on Steve Reeves, he doesn't have that much mass on his chest because he focused a lot more on the incline. All right, cool. So enough about that. I think I gave you enough information. Let's move on to some exercises about the classic physique chest. All right, so at the beginning of Arnold's bodybuilding career, I remember him doing when he was in Stuttgart, which is Stuttgart. I can't remember what country it was. It was back in I think it was Austria. I forgot what city. I don't know what city, but back then when Arnold was in the military, he did a lot of push-ups and he did a lot of dips. He said every morning he's like I would get up and I would do my push-ups and I would do my sit-ups and I would do my dips and I would do and everything like that. So yeah, do a lot of dips. That will give you the curve in your outside chest. That will give you that kind of like it gives you like a good outside flare because Vince Gironda talked about this a lot. He said the only two exercises you need to build a good chest would be the this is what he recommended for Larry Scott too. This is the only exercises that Larry Scott did too. That's a bonus right here. But Larry Scott did a lot of the neck press, which works the upper chest really good and some mass in the chest, and he did dips too. V-bar dips though. V-bar dips, not like the parallel dip bitch bar at the what they have at the gym now. Some man dips. I'm talking about like the V-bar dips. Those are pretty good for your chest. And that's all Larry Scott did for his chest. He had a pretty good chest. And yeah, dips. I mean, Arnold did them a lot. I do them a lot. Larry Scott did them a lot. Vince Gironda highly recommends them to build that outside flare in the chest. That is the only way to get that curve in the outside flare in the chest. Trust me, you want to be doing those because if you see any of my pictures on Instagram, when I do a side chest, how it kind of like flares out and pops out like a watermelon, that comes from dips. And another one, incline bench. If you want to, having a square chest on the classic physique is a must. You have to have the square chest, like Steve Reeves. Arnold did a lot of incline bench pressing. A lot of them did that back then. A lot of incline press. Steve Reeves did a lot of it, and Vince Gironda highly recommends building the upper chest compared to the middle chest because Having too much middle chest is what will give you a watermelon chest, and that's what Steve Reeves said he did not want, and that is what Vince Gironda told you not to do. Now, Vince Gironda and Steve Reeves were friends at one time. I mean, Vince Gironda wanted to be like Steve Reeves, but he said he never quite got there because I don't know, he just couldn't get there. But he said Steve Reeves had the most best built legs, and Vince Gironda never could catch up to those legs. But anyways, I don't know why I just got off topic, but I like just giving you more stories because I feel like that's kind of like valuable information to know, so you know that I'm pretty credible. All right, another one. I mean, every guy back then in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, maybe even 30s did the dumbbell pullover. It was a must. They even supersetted it with squats. That was a good mass gaining program back then. Squatting and dumbbell pullovers. They would do 20. I dare you even look it up. Look up 20 rep squats. I think they call it the squats and milk program. Hold on as I take a sip from my tea to hold suspense. I think it's called the squats and milks program or whatever. What you would do is you would do one set of heavy ass squats that you can literally start doing for like you could literally only do 10 reps well, you were supposed to do 20 reps. I did them yesterday, so let me give an example. Yesterday I was at the gym and I loaded up the squat bar with a 45 with 25 pounds, a 45 plate on each side with 25 pounds in it, so 185, and I did 10 reps. And at that point, I was kind of like, oh, I'm doing okay. And then once I reached 12 reps, I was like, oh shit, now I'm starting to huff and puff. And should I rack it or should I go hit 20? So around 12 reps, I started dying, but I ended up hitting 20, and that was the freaking hardest set of my life. I don't usually do 20 rep squats, but it is a really good program for building some mass. And then you would also superset it with the pullover. And what this does is since you're already huffing and puffing from the squats, your rib cage and your lungs they open up, and you're like gasping for air. And the way that they tell you to do dumbbell pullovers is to do it, take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out when you come back up. I mean, you're already huffing and puffing, so this is actually gonna expand your rib cage so much more. But anyways, yeah, a lot of guys did that back then. They did the 20 rep squats with the dumbbell pullover, and they did a lot of dumbbell pullovers back then because they said like they want you to doing dumbbell pullovers will also work out your chest a lot, work out your upper chest, depends on how you do it, your triceps and your back too, like that. But anyways, they wanted the upper chest to mainly be visibly present because it will give you the illusion of having a bigger chest and a bigger body. Obviously, some good examples: Arnold, Lou Degny, he looks twice as big with that big rib cage. Reg Park had a really good rib cage. If you ever see him do a side chest, his chest looks pretty massive. Hold on as I take another sip from my tea. Even Steve Reeves, he did the 20 rep squat program. He would do one set of squats. Actually, you know what? Steve Reeves never squatted, but I know in one of his programs I saw that he did 20 rep squats with one set of 20 rep breathing pullovers. They were calling them breathing squats and breathing pullovers. So they would do a superset, one set of 20 reps of each. He included that on his program. And then so just so you know, I'm being credible. Like I'm telling you that Steve Reeves did it, and this is where I'm getting it from. Where else did I see this? Now Vince Gironda didn't really recommend building up your ribcage too much because it kind of like he said it ruins the illusion, but honestly, building up your ribcage is a must. You have to build your ribcage. Work it often. Do lots of barbell pullovers. Do lots of dumbbell pullovers. The cable pullovers don't really build up your ribcage, but yeah, do a lot of pullovers to get that old school chest. So yeah, let's start wrapping it up. We talked about some main parts that you really need to work on in the chest, which is the serratus anterior and the pectoralis major. And then we talked about some really good models to look at, like Lou Degny, Larry Scott's mentor. Then we talked about Arnold, how he has that outside flare in his chest, how to get that by doing dips. And then we talked about Steve Reeves and his square chest, how everybody kept asking him, how did you get that square chest? And he told them I did a lot of incline movements. And like I said, like a lot of the exercises that you need to focus on, a lot of the main exercises that I focused on that helped me bring out my chest was the dips, thanks to Vince Gironda, and the incline bench, thanks to Steve Reeves. And thanks to Reg Park and Lou Degny, the dumbbell pullover That is what you really need to build that old school chest. You want to keep the bench pressing to moderation. I mean, do some bench pressing to keep that mass in the chest. But like I said before in that article I found a long time ago that was written in the 1930s, he outlined the classic physique, and he said you don't want too much mass in your chest because that will ruin the illusion. Like too much of a massive chest and that gives you that watermelon chest. You don't want that. You want an aesthetic square chest. Make it look, give it as much shape as possible. Decline, dips, incline bench, incline flies, stuff like that. Lots of round the world movements. That's what they call them. They called them, they instead of calling them flies, this is what they called them back then. They called them round the world flies or something like that. Round the world movements, something like that. Kind of confusing, but anyways, yeah, lots of that stuff. All right, cool. So I literally put all the information I could into this video. I don't think I have anything else for you, honestly. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Share this video with anybody who wants a classic physique, anybody who wants to have a classic chest or have a classic back. You know, share this video with them. I'm giving you all the information right here. All the information I've learned, I picked up from Larry Scott, from Vince Joyner, from Steve Reeves, from Reg Park, from Lou Degny, from Gene Mo. You guys don't know who Gene Mo is, but he's really good, really important guy in bodybuilding. Let's see who else. Oh, tons of guys, man. But yeah, I can go on all day about this. And yeah. So yeah, please like and subscribe, share this video. Thanks for watching. This is Old School Dan checking out. Peace.